the Jack of Clubs. And the Jack of Clubs is how to handle rejection. And the dialogue starts when you are given the stimulus that says, I don't know anyone right now. If I do, I'll let you know. Gosh, Joe, I told you if I know anyone, I would let you know. If a friend of mine is interested, I'm sure they'll call you. Any type of stimulus that you feel a sense of rejection around, where you go, oh, okay, and you feel like you want to retreat, as opposed to saying that's just the beginning of the process. And so the dialogue is, well, thank you for thinking about it. Now that we've talked about it, chances are you may notice people who need my help. And would you be comfortable if I check back with you in a few months or a few weeks to see if anyone comes to mind? Now, there's several things that are happening in that. Number one is when you know how to handle rejection skillfully, and the more congruent you are when somebody gives you rejection, the more likely you are to ask for referrals. If you don't have that confidence to handle no, you will unconsciously not ask, or you'll get very wimpy. You'll say things to people like, well, if you happen to know of anybody, would you send them my way? Because it puts up a wall of they can't reject me. Oh, yeah, if I will, I'll let you know. And they gave you the exact answer. But when you really are able to handle rejection, you're capable of saying, I know you know somebody who comes to mind first, and you'll stand in that. And they'll go, well, I really don't know anyone. And you'll believe them. You'll really say, I know that they're really thinking about it, and they really don't know anyone right now. And you're okay with that. And you're okay with that because you know how to handle that. If you don't know how to handle that, you won't ever even ask for it. And you'll be deceiving yourself thinking you are asking, but you're really just wimping around. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So it's the starting dialogue, and I picked this one to start with because you're going to get no more often than yes. But there's some magical things that happen with no. The first thing that happens is you turn on their reticular activator. See, when you ask and they say no, and you say, well, now that we've talked about it, chances are you may notice people who need my help. Now, those words, you may notice, I've just given them unconscious permission to go out and do it. You may notice. I'm saying, it's okay now, you may notice. And it's also saying that now that your awareness has been heightened, you may notice people who need my help. Would you be comfortable if I check back with you in, 3, 4, 5 weeks, maybe a couple of months to see who comes to mind? Now, what you're asking for is comfort. See, would you be comfortable? You're not asking, can I check back with you? You're asking, would you be comfortable if I check back with you? Which is really important that you put that word comfort before the action step, because they're answering to the word comfort. Yeah, I'd be comfortable with that. Now, when you follow up with a note immediately after that conversation and you say to somebody, hey, thanks for thinking about the different people that I might be able to help, and also giving me permission to check back with you in a couple of months to see if anyone comes to mind. Joe, what that gave you was this opportunity for them to turn on that reticular activator. That's the part of the mind that they can start to notice people that they could refer to you. And so every time someone says no to you, you want to have a frame going, great, I've just turned on the reticular activator. I now have given them permission to start to notice so they can think about me, so they can facilitate an introduction. In the past, you may have looked at, no, I don't know anyone as the end. I'm going to suggest it's the beginning. You may have to get a no before you ever get a referral. So when you're calling up during your hour of power or when you're at a social experience and somebody says no, you go, all right, I'm putting somebody into the incubator because I've just turned on their reticular activator. And the chances of them referring are significantly greater after they've said no and you followed up with a note, followed up with a phone call later. Make sense to you? And so it's a great context to come from. Now, the secret when you're doing it is it's a tone of gratitude. So when somebody says, no, I really don't know anyone, the tone is, God, well, thank you for even being willing to even think about that for me. Thank you. And now that we've had this chance even to talk about it, chances are really, really good that you may notice somebody who's going to need my help. And I'm just wondering, would you be comfortable if I checked back with you, let's say 30 days from today, just to see if anyone comes to mind? And there's a tone around it of non-threatening, which is so counter to the rejection. See, when they say, no, I don't know anyone, they're disappointed because they want to feel good. So just assume that people do want to refer someone to you, but when they say, I don't know anyone, you say, well, if you happen to know of anyone, would you send them my way? You walk away and they're not feeling good because they weren't able to fulfill your request. And they want to fulfill your request. Genuinely, people want to help you. And so when you ask if you can check back in a couple of months, they are giving you affirmation after they said they couldn't help you, which now they feel good. Yeah, call me back in a couple of months. I think I'll find someone for you. And now they walk away feeling good. And that's so important that you understand that when somebody says no, your unconscious is saying, well, what can I say right now that would give them a feeling that they feel okay, that it was okay to say no. So, gosh, Joe, I really don't know anyone right now. Hey, that's okay. What I really am grateful for is that you just even took a moment to think about it. Because that really shows that you do want to introduce me to people, and yet you do care about your friends, and you want to make sure that they get what they want when it's time to buy and sell. Hey, I got an idea. Now that we've talked a little bit about it, I'll bet you chances are you're going to notice people like never before. I mean, you're going to start to notice people are buying bigger homes, people moving into smaller homes. You'll notice people are refinancing. Just because we talked about it right now, you're going to notice that. And I'm just wondering, would you be comfortable if I check back with you, let's say about 60 days, just to see who comes to mind? Would that be okay with you? Oh, yeah, that's fine, Joe. That's great. And then you walk away from that scene. They feel good. You follow up with a little note. Thank you so much for taking a moment just to think about all the different people that I can help. And you know how good you're going to feel when you recommend someone to me. So would you please take 3 of the enclosed business cards and make sure we find somebody by the time I give you a call in 60 days. And it's okay to speak that way because people are going to feel good when they refer someone to you. And that's your job. Your job is to make them feel good by helping the people that they care about. And you got to bring it into their awareness by allowing them to say no to you by asking them for a referral. And then one last point about that, the whole intention of that dialogue is all around comfort. See, I want to walk away from that, looking at that person's name, feeling comfortable calling them back. It's one of the worst things that can happen in my experience is if I ask you for a referral and you say, no, I don't know anyone. Now, in my unconscious mind that means I don't know anyone forever. And so I look at your name and I think when I'm looking at my database, they told me they don't know anyone. Well, that was 9 years ago. But in the back of our consciousness, it resides because rejection gets brought in at a very high frequency. When someone says no, those words no get recorded at 20, 21 megahertz, so it remains in short-term memory. So we can't remember all the people who said yes, they will refer to us, but we know the 5 people who said no, they won't refer anyone to us. Because no has such a high charge to it. And when something is charged high, it stays in short-term memory. So you could look at a person's name and go, God, they told me they didn't know anyone. And you feel uncomfortable. And then you call up, and there's this dukkha in the space. You don't want to ask them, so you kind of beat around the bush. Hey, how you doing, Bob? Just checking in with you. How's everything going? Good. Well, I'm doing okay over here, too. Good market. Yeah. And you don't ask because the last time you asked, they said no, and in your unconscious, you don't want to hear that again. So when you do get a no, and you say to them, hey, would you be comfortable if I check back with you in a couple months? And they go, oh, yeah, I'd love to. Now the next time you look at their card, you go, I have permission. And then you can actually call them up. Hey, Bob, do you remember when we talked a couple of months ago and I had mentioned to you that I could help some people who are going to be moving into their first home, maybe out of a condo into a single family, or maybe some in an apartment into a house. Remember we talked about? Yeah, I remember that. And I told you I was going to check back with you. Yeah. Well, I'm just checking back with you to see if anybody's come to mind for you. And out of that conversation, you feel comfortable. So that's the context for this. Now, so then what we'll do now is I'll do some coaching around this individual dialogue and see if we can take it into long-term memory.